Welcome to the Shields Outdoors Podcast, your source for information on hunting, fishing, and all of your outdoor passions.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 50th episode of the Shields Outdoors Podcast. My name is Mike Anderson, and today we're going to be talking about Tactacam. The new Reveal series of trail cameras has been a hot commodity, but Tactacam has actually been around for nearly 10 years now as a company and has a really cool story to it, one that actually involves Shields a little bit. Joining us today is Ben Stern, one of the founders of Tactacam, who's played a crucial role in where they are today. Thank you for joining us today, Ben. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role with Tactacam?
Sure. Yeah. First off, thanks for having me. This has definitely been one heck of a journey so far. As far as Tactacam goes, I guess I started Tactacam back in 2013. So as far as my role, I guess at the very beginning, it started as an idea, something that my grandpa actually challenged me to do. My background is, photography and videography, and, I was doing that and teaching at a university, and obviously hunting is a passion, just like every one of you guys that work at Shields. It seems like it's a passion, right? So that was my passion. And my grandpa says, if you like hunting so much, why, and you also like photography and videography, why aren't you doing them together? And he's like, you tell me about these deer you see and all this other stuff, and like, why aren't you videoing this stuff? And I was like, well, Grandpa, it's a good question. Let me do that. So that's where, this whole concept started. And I started using other products that were on the market, like GoPros, for example, or, you just name a brand. And every camera that I tried, it just didn't quite work the way that I wanted it to. It's not that they're bad cameras, because they're not. They're really good. They're these, really good cameras that do things very specifically, but I couldn't find anything that actually would mount to my bow, for example, or mount to my gun or push a button and just have it start recording automatically, or, when it starts recording, tell you like the Tactacam will vibrate and it'll say, hey, here's a little indication that I'm now recording and I'm doing what you want, but it was more than just that. It's like, if I'm hunting, I want to enjoy my passion, right? I want to enjoy the hunt. So none of the products that I was trying to use would allow me to do that. It felt like they were interfering with what I wanted to do, which was hunt. So that's really where Tactacam started. It was more of like a challenge of, why are you not combining your passions, which are photography, videography, and hunting? So that's really what got the idea started. And then from there, to be honest with you, it's not me. It's not just me, right? It's other people. Started out, it was my grandpa challenging me. Then it was, meeting other people that, could help you get some of these ideas made. Like I got partners like Jeff Peel and his wife Tara and, Ben Thorud. And there's a long line of list of people that are involved that make this all work, that make Tactacam what it is. We'll probably get into this later, but even all the way down to dealers, like, for example, one of the major dealers would be Shields. And, Jeff Miller up in Eau Claire, he was one of the first dealers to ever pick up Tactacam, and he saw it and he liked what it did and the vision. And he grabbed that product and promoted the heck out of it in, Shields at Eau Claire, to the point where all of a sudden now all the other Shields are carrying products, right? But it's all these individuals that have been involved from the very beginning, and or even maybe within the last year or within the last month, that make Tactacam So, even though, yes, I started it, it's not me. Like when we say made for hunters by hunters, that's a true statement.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely. It's very cool that, Scheels can play a role in the start of this. And, I do a lot of filming my hunts myself, and you're exactly right that it's, trying to bring a camera into the field is no easy task. And especially to bring a camera into the field and to capture what you want to, and to have all those movements when you're up in the stand and not get busted and have a successful hunt. Just the concept of your point of view Tactacam is really cool. Just like mount it on the bow, press the button. You don't really have to worry about anything else. Just film your hunt and you can share that. It's super, super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And, so starting out, it started out with one camera, right? And it was a stabilizer that you slid the camera into, which we still have. It's my favorite product. And you push a button and it turns on, it vibrates to tell you that, hey, yep, you did it. You don't have to look down at it. It's recording, and then it's just, you're in that moment. And anything you point your bow at, which obviously if you're hunting and trying to harvest a deer or whatever it is, you're going to be pointing that bow at it. Well, so you learn from that, and that solved a lot of problems for me and a lot of other hunters. Then it's like you learn things, and you learn things from hunters, and they give you feedback, and it's like, well, what if I want more than one angle? Or how do you stabilize the shot better? And obviously just with bows or technique, all of these things come into play, but it's like, well, then it's like, oh, what if we increase the image stabilization? Or what can we do to the camera to make that better? So it's always, how do you make it better? And that's where we started to just get into, like the remote system that we have. You push one button, the remote could be mounted around your neck. The remote could be mounted on your bow, on your gun. It could be controlled by a friend, for example. You just push one button and it sends an RF signal out, which, these cameras are off. They're not even on, which was one of the problems with remotes. You have to have these products on and sitting there waiting, for the remote to tell it to start recording. Well, then the batteries go dead and you're like, dang it, it didn't even work. Where the Tactacam, they're just sitting there off, and it's got like a little antenna inside that says, oh, look, there's my radio station that I'm waiting for, or whatever, it's an RF signal. And it says, I guess I better start recording because something's going to happen. And it just starts recording, and you're now hunting. You didn't have to do anything. You just stuck them in the ground, or you hung them up on a tree, or you put it facing you in the tree, or it's just on your bow or on your gun. Wherever you have these cameras, they're just there, and you just push a button and they just turn on and they're recording. And now you can have some amazing imagery, that you can share with people of this, moment that sometimes you're sitting out there. Think about how much time you spend in the woods, waiting for whatever it is. And you want to share that excitement with friends. Well, that's what Tactacam does. It allows you to be out there and be prepared and experience the moment and experience what you're there for, but really very easily capture the excitement. So that's where we've gone. And obviously we just keep going, and there's more products and more stuff that we're working on every day, which, like FTS, for example, film through scope. Everybody's like, well, I put it on my long range rifle and it just doesn't really do the job, obviously. Well, okay, well, how do we solve for that? And to build a film through scope, FTS, it mounts on your gun. It mounts onto your scope, films through your scope, but allows you to look through your scope just like you normally would. So you're using your optics, and you're able to get a video of everything that you're pointing that rifle at, if it's long range shooting or if it's hunting, target shooting, whatever it is you're doing, it allows you to record what your scope is physically looking at. So it's, pretty neat.
That is really neat. So, how long has that been on the market? When did you, I guess I'm not super familiar with that part of Tactacam. I know the point of view stuff and obviously the new cell cams, but when did this come about?
So the FTS was about a 2-year project as far as development goes, but really last year, I would say about a year and a half ago is when it really launched, and it's done extremely well for us. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's funny, but I think it's kind of funny that we spend all this time on these products and we're so passionate about it, but yet like the Reveal, which you said, the Tactacam Reveal, the cellular camera, it's so popular, and I'm glad, but some of the other products that we do sometimes get overlooked.
Absolutely. Seems like they've kind of just taken a little bit of a backseat with the incredible popularity of the Reveal cameras. So, before we dive into those cameras, can you talk to us a little bit about like how the research and development process works? Like how you went from, launching your first one to like where you're at today with those cameras?
Yeah, sure. So, a lot of it just has to do with using them, right? Like you build a product and you use it and you send it out to other people like friends or, whoever they may be, and you let them use it and you get feedback. And it's just like, sometimes you might have a product that you're like, this is ready to sell, but you might get certain feedback and you're like, we got to make this change. We got to make this better. And then but then there's a point where you say, yes, okay, this is ready and we feel really good about it. This is ready, for people to enjoy. But sometimes you might build a product and you say, no, this is not ready, or it just doesn't make sense. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But everything that we do at Tactacam, it's for a reason, right? Like, it's not just like, oh, well, we need a new product for 2021, for example, or 2020, whatever it is. So let's just make something. None of the products that we do are like that. Reveal, for example, if you want to get into Reveal at all, it's like we were using cellular cameras. We were using trail cameras. We were using cellular cameras, and it was like, it wasn't quite what we wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just like there was just something missing. And like for Jeff and I, we were sitting there talking, and it was like, man, it's so frustrating. Like, like the plans and the cost or the activation, like there's so many things that we felt like that should be improved, image quality. So we were just kind of like, it was almost like a challenge, right? It was like, well, what if we tried to build a camera in, let's just say 3 months? Like, let's just see what we can come up with. But we're going to just have a deadline. And it's like, if we don't come up with something that really makes sense, we're just going to drop it and put our energy somewhere else, because, it shouldn't be that hard, right? Like, that's what we thought. Like, it really shouldn't be that hard, because if you can just build something that works, that sends consistently, and the usability and just the user interface, right? Like, if it just makes sense, like, that's really all the goal is. And make it affordable, make it something that people can buy and not feel like they're breaking the bank. Have the data plans be realistic, where it's like, okay, yeah, well, $12 a month is not bad for unlimited photos. That's pretty good. If I want to go buy a camera, I'm going to spend $120, and it's going to be a really good camera. It's going to take pictures. It's going to send photos. It's going to be easy to use, and I can have it take as many photos as I want for $12 a month. That's a win, right? So when we set out to do something, there's a reason. It's not like, oh, let's just go make a trail camera. It's like, well, here's the things we want to do, and if we can do it within this time period, then it makes sense. And obviously it didn't take 3 months. 3 months was let's just build a camera and start using it, but let's give ourselves a timeline to do it. So we built it and we started using it, and we just used it, right? Like we built it for ourselves, just like the first Tactacam.
Yeah. So when you first made that one, was it just like a regular non-cellular camera, or did you just like jump right into the cell stuff right away with that prototype?
We went straight cellular, like straight cellular. Like I think we partnered with Verizon first, and it was one of them deals where, how do you partner with Verizon? I have no idea. Like we were trying to do it, and we were building this camera, and we're like, we have to have this hook up to cellular. Otherwise it just defeats the purpose. I don't want to go to the camera every day.
Yeah.
Like I want it now. Right. So I think we were getting close to our deadline, and Jeff's like, well, he's like, I don't know, man. Like it doesn't look like this is going to happen. And I'm like, I'm going to go to the Verizon store. He just laughed at me, and he's like, all right, well, I don't think that's going to work, but go for it. And I walk into the Verizon store, and I'm like, can I talk to like a manager or somebody? And they're like, oh crap, we got another one of these guys, that wants to complain about something or whatever. And I get the manager, and I'm like, all right, here's what's going on. Like we own this camera company, and, we're building this cellular camera, and I need to talk to someone about trying to partner up with Verizon. We haven't really gotten anywhere. We've called Verizon, we've got on the website, and, we just keep, getting pushed to the side. He goes, hold on, let me make a phone call. And he picks up the phone and calls his manager that's, outside of the store, and I'm on the phone with him, and he's like, well, what kind of timeline are we talking about? I'm like, we got like 48 hours left. Like what we set up, like our, little make believe, like, let's just get it done in this time. And if whatever it was, I'm rambling, but long story short, we end up basically getting the meeting that we were trying to get the whole time. And they're like, yep, that sounds good. We'll approve your module for testing. And we're like, wow, cool. So now we've basically got like this, the start of a partnership, and we've got approval to put our cameras on their network. So now we're like using our own cameras on Verizon network, and we just, we were like, well, how many cameras do you need? I'm like, I'll take, 20, maybe 30 this year. So we started building the cameras, and we started using them. And then it's like other people were like, well, can we test them? Because nobody knows that we have a cellular camera yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we just started using them, and then it was like, wow, these things are really good. And it's like, wow, I guess we do know what we're doing. It's like, obviously there's things that happen along the way that you have to improve and make better. But I guess the point is like, we built it for ourselves, right? Just like the very first Tactacam, I built that for myself. And then I met Jeff, and he got one of the first 20 cameras. And if you ask him how it went, he was like, yeah, so like I left it on, and it was recording the whole time. The SD card filled up, and, but then he was like, oh, here's what happened. And then we're like, all right, we got to fix that. Right. And we fixed it, and we made that better. And it's just, you always are making things better. So we started with Reveal. Actually, we started with the cameras we built that turned into Reveal. And then this year we came out with the Reveal X, and it was like, Reveal was only on the market for 6 months. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was only on the shelves for like 30 seconds at a time.
Exactly. But it made sense to take everything that we learned from what we were trying to do, and we built a camera, and it was very popular. But then there was a lot of feedback, and it was like, okay, you know what? Let's just dive right into it. Let's not just keep trying to, not try, because obviously they sell like hotcakes. We can't even make them fast enough. But it was like, let's take all the stuff we learned right now, and we have the opportunity to put it into another product. Like, let's make it better. Let's make it better as much as we can all the time. And that's been Tactacam from the beginning. Every time we build a product, it's an opportunity to make it better. You know, so if you're buying a 5.0 3 years ago, for example, and you buy a 5.0 today, it's a different camera than the one 3 years ago. Like, we're always making them better.
That's a truly awesome story. I mean, just, you can tell with your products that it's, you know, made by hunters for hunters. A lot of thought has gone into, okay, I want this to work for somebody that may not be super technically inclined. Just, there's so many things you need to worry about in the field. Like, let's make this as easy as possible. And yeah, that's very cool. And it all just kind of makes sense how it worked together too. Like starting with the point of view cameras, getting really good at that, noticing, you know, a tremendous opportunity in the cell cam business. 'Cause like when they first started, you know, hardly anyone could afford them. You know, like I remember, I don't know, 5 years ago or whatever, when I first heard of like cellular cameras, like that concept is fantastic. You know, I don't have to, you know, like I put the camera out, I don't have to, you know, tromp through the areas, disturb anything. Like, it just makes hunting so much more efficient and time saving. But, you know, like the cameras are $400 or $500, and then the cell plans are like another $300-400. Is like, I was a college kid at the time. I was like, there's no way I can afford that. I'll stick with my, you know, $90 camera and just deal with it. But, you know, for you guys to just have all of that technology and feedback and just, you know, ready to make a product like that and hit the market at the price point it does to make cellular cameras available for, you know, just about anybody is really fantastic.
Yeah. And, you know, the goal wasn't to build the cheapest camera by any means. The goal was to build a very affordable camera, but have the best camera. You know, and I know there's people that will argue it and say, oh, well, this camera is better. And I usually stay out of those conversations because let other people argue, you know, but it's like for a $120 camera, I would say it's the best camera. You know, that's just my opinion right now. And there'll probably be other people say, what about Spartan or what, you know, there's always going to be other cameras and other opinions, but you know, that's our goal. We want a camera that is affordable. And in our opinion, we don't want to use any other camera. Like, this is our camera. We built it for us. It's a affordable camera, and we want to share that with other people. I don't know. Maybe that's why you can't find them on the shelves, because everybody wants them, but that's a good thing. And I'll tell you, we are building them as fast as we can. You know, even with the crazy stuff going on in this world, as far as, you know, chipsets and processors and everything else, like, I'm not here to make excuses. We're doing everything we can to buy everything that we can to make the cameras as fast as we can, because we want other people to enjoy them. So,
absolutely. So, a couple of questions for you on that. So how long did it take to go from, you know, that initial thought, I want to make a cellular camera, to like ready for production?
So I would say, you know, it usually takes about a year, you know, to do that. We did kind of fast track it a little bit. So I would say the whole thing was about 9 months. By the time we kind of started, we were like, if we're going to do this, okay, wow, this actually works. And then it's like, wow, if we're going to do this, we really got to do this like now, right? And it was like 9 months and we were starting production on those cameras. But it was like we were very comfortable with where we were at. And, you know, because the whole goal of the camera was to just not try to be fancy, you know, like we just want good quality, good images, and it just has to work, right?
Yeah, it just has to work, and it has to perform to expectations. And, you know, like I work, social media is my main job here at Scheels. And, you know, looking through all the comments, like obviously there's going to be positive and there's going to be negative, but the amount of positive comments on the Tactacam is just absolutely unreal. Just people satisfied with the price point, the performance, the ease of the using the app, and it's really cool to see. And it's unreal to think about, 9 months to go from an idea to a product that performs the way that it does. So I just have to say hats off to you and the rest of Tactacam for that.
Yeah, thanks. And, like when I say, let's just use 9 months for a number, for example, you talk to our development team on the software side, and I don't know if they ever slept. Like we still joke about it because, we built the entire back end from the app to the servers to, every single thing that handles that image as it comes in through the Verizon network. We had to tie into all the APNs. We had to tie into everything software wise. And we built that entire network from the ground up, all within a very short time. And I think the users that were there from the very beginning, they'll know what I'm talking about, because they were seeing app updates, and the app updates are so easy, right? Like it's literally, you're like, oh, notification, new app available. And, oh, what's new now? And it's like, oh, wow, look, now I can swipe left and right. Or, oh, look, now I can, select multiple images. And it's like, everybody's like, we want this, we want this, we want this. And it was like every 2 weeks we were coming out with an update that had these things, so, and we're actually planning on we're going to continue to do that. Right now with the launch of the Reveal X, we've been focusing on introducing a lot of new things that are not as fun, not as cool, but it's a lot of new things that are going to set us up for the growth that we're going to be seeing here over this summer and into fall. We're planning on, doing a very large number of cameras. And with that, we want to make sure that we have a good experience for everybody. So last fall, we really focused on our customers, right? Mm-hmm. We feel like we have a good product, but we have to support our customers. So that was where we put a lot of energy, making sure that what we did last year, we can then multiply and grow with. So that's what we're doing now. We're putting all that stuff in place. It's a lot of things that are not as fun for the customer, but if they have an issue, they're like, dang, I'm so glad that they did that. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that we want them to have to call us, but no matter what, there's going to be a time where you have a question. And guess what? If you call, we want you to have a good experience, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where we're putting a lot of energy right now. And then as soon as we get all of that, which is basically done, now we are working on just getting a couple other things set up, which handle all of the images. We're talking about millions of photos, coming in to our servers. So we want to make sure that all of those come in nice and seamless. We're talking like, it's so funny. We're like, all right, well, this change here will increase the image transfer by a half a second, and it's like, most people are like, I don't care about a half a second, but it's like, you think about a half a second times like a million, it's like, that's a lot of time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are all the things that make a better experience for our customers when you're talking about a lot of customers. Mm-hmm. So that's all the stuff that we're doing right now. And we're maybe another 3 weeks out, and then we're going to start doing all the fun stuff again, so in the backside right now, which nobody knows of, there's stuff going on for Reveal, for example. So all the people that bought Reveal last year, there'll be an update coming that will be a nice big marketing push. You know what? By the time this comes out, there should be HD downloads available that, you'll have to do an update on your camera, but the Reveal will have that. There'll be some other things that make the experience better for the Reveal users. So Reveal X, everybody's like, yeah, I got the Reveal X. Well, now all the people that bought Reveal will be like, yeah, well, I got the Reveal, and it's cool because I got a software update that lets me do some of the stuff you did, so I think that's pretty exciting.
Oh yeah, I think that's super exciting too. So like with the HD photos, is it going to be a change of your plan, or is it just like, here you go, here's a present, I'm adding HD downloadability, or what's going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say HD downloads does have a fee associated. It's a small fee. It's like $5 for 50 downloads. So if you don't want to ever have a HD download, you don't need to. So it doesn't ever affect your base data plan. Now, the reason we did it that way, and I'm not sure, I didn't see any negative stuff on social media about it, but the idea is, how do we keep things as affordable as possible, right?
Yeah.
Well, there might be the guy that wants the $5 a month plan, which you can get, and that's all they ever need. So for $5, you can have the cellular camera send to your app. Good deal. Well, if you would like HD downloads, it's $5, 50 of them, and you can use them for as long as you want. So if it takes you 6 months to use 50 downloads, it was $5. And to get the next 50, it's just $5. So it's a way to do it. In my mind, it's a very affordable way to do it. It doesn't affect your monthly bill. You just pay $5 and you get 50 of them. And whenever you use them, you use them. And when you want your next 50, you just pay another $5.
Oh, perfect. I'm excited for that, because I know, like, I started using the Reveal last year, and you can get an idea of what's going on with the app and the images going through. But like, I know I had it on a food plot last year, and there was a deer in the background. It's like, okay, I think that's a good buck, but can I define which one that is? So then now I have up to 50 different times I can click that HD and get that answer, and then not have to walk out to my camera to actually see and get the full HD one. So that's super cool. I'm definitely excited about that. So what's been the biggest challenge you've had so far with Tactacam?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, like, I'll just be frank. I mean, there's days where I feel like, oh my gosh, today is the biggest challenge, right? But I mean, I don't know. I think we're all driven by challenge, so I don't know. It's tough, because I think every single day I kind of challenge myself, and I think like everybody does, like Jeff, Tara, and Ben Thorud, and like Gary, and I mean, I'm literally just naming names, but these are all people that I'm working with every day, and we're all challenging each other. Like there'll be a day that I wake up and I'm like, oh man, I feel like that was awesome. Like that was a really long week, and I stayed up all night and I just got that done, and it's Friday, and I'm like, come into the office. I'm like, oh man, I'm just going to come in and get my emails caught up and do whatever. And like Jeff will walk in and be like, hey, so I got this idea and let's talk about it. And then it's like, that's the next challenge. It's like, how do we do this? And then we do it. And then we might decide, nope, that was a bad idea. Or we were like, wow, that's a really good idea. And we just spend the next, 5 months just going hardcore on it. And that's the challenge. But it's a good challenge, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm, yeah, absolutely. All those challenges, they're basically a necessity for progression,
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it seems like, to me, it seems like your biggest challenge is being able to have some free time.
Yeah. Well, if you ask my wife and my son, that's what they'll tell you. But I think everybody would say the same. And it's not because it's our passion, right? Like I don't know. Like, I don't see it as a negative. Like, I love it. And like, I know you guys love what you guys do as well, right? Like I call Jeff Miller up at Scheels and I'm like, what are you doing? He's either at Scheels or he's hunting, or he's shed hunting, or he's got his daughter out turkey hunting, or hunting. Yeah, I mean, that's what we do. Like, we love the outdoors. We love hunting. I mean, it's just what we do, right? So we're working on cameras. We're working on products to do things that we like to do, which we all like. Jeff and Tara they had like a TV show they were doing before this, and Jeff loves business, which is why he's so good at the business side of Tactacam, right? Ben Thorud is like, he does like all of our accounting and marketing stuff, and that's what he's done forever, and he's really good at it for some really, really big companies. And he had the opportunity to get involved with us. Guess what his passion is? If he has a spare day, he's out hunting, and that's what he does, so like we all have our dream jobs, let's just say, because we all love what we do every single day. It's not work. You wake up and you're doing it, and it's just like any other day, and you don't stop. And then when you're out testing products, you're doing what you love anyway. So it's just, you find yourself working all the time, and it doesn't feel like work. So now I'm going to have a bunch of haters out there because they're like, ew, whatever. Like,
jealous that
like,
you
I'll
get to live your dream
honest,
every day.
I love what I do. Yeah. So, hey, I'll be honest. I absolutely love it. But
yeah, and it's awful tough to fault you for that. So, I mean, being a part of a trail camera company and, being involved in all the research and development, I imagine you probably have some pretty good trail camera tips for people out there. So wondering if you could, just give us a few tips and pointers on best use or best strategies on trail cameras.
Sure. So I guess my first tip is to buy the Tactacam Reveal. No, just in all seriousness, I find myself, I use them a lot for scouting, but I keep them out year round. And I know not a lot of people do that, but I move my cameras around a lot. So the only difference, what I used to do is I would go check my cameras like once a week, because I could not wait. Like, it was like, oh my gosh, it's Friday afternoon, or if I don't get to do it Friday afternoon, it's Saturday morning, and I want to see what's on those cards, right? Well, now I don't. I'm like, I try to stay out, and I only go in when I got to change batteries, just because I'm trying to practice, like not pushing deer out. I hunt a very small property, and I sometimes kind of ruin it for myself, if that makes sense. Honest.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, the more you're in there, the more you're intruding, the more you're educating. And that's where, that's just where cell cameras are so handy.
Yeah. So I guess my tip is I started to approach it more like when I hunt, right? Like, I realize, like, I'm not hunting only the 1 week, for example, or the golden time, or whatever that moment is that you get to go spend that time. Because a lot of times, even myself, like, I might only get to hunt 1 week for that whitetail that I want, that I've been seeing, or, the dream buck, whatever it is. Sometimes you don't get that much time to go physically try to do it. Maybe it's only the weekend, right? But with the cellular camera, I feel like I get to hunt all the time. So what I do is I'm not afraid to maybe go out and try to move that camera into a different spot to see where the deer are traveling. But I practice more scent control, or when I go in is not during their peak movement area times. But I use the camera to try to figure out, if I only have one, I'm moving it to figure out where they're coming from, get the angles to prove where they're bedding, where they're going to for food, and then maybe later on I can buy another one. I'll be honest, I have quite a few cameras out. I don't move them around like I used to, but that's what I do. Like, when I only had one camera or two cameras, I was moving them around and trying to get them to create that pattern, right? Like, we all know when they're coming to eat, but where are they coming from? What trails are they coming on? getting a better idea of where they're moving from and to. And I think that's my tip, right? Which I think everybody like, oh, that's a horrible tip. But
well, I'm going to disagree with you there. I think that's a great tip. And, it gets me thinking about my own trail camera strategies too. And I feel like I just get a little bit too complacent with my camera strategy is because I'll take my parents' place for an example. They've got 30 acres behind their house. It's a nice area. And they've got a pond there. And I put my camera on that pond in the same spot every single year. And, we'll get a good inventory through the summer, but I don't really learn that much about where they're coming from, where they're going to after. And if you start shuffling those cameras around a little bit, or if you have multiple ones, then you can put more pieces to the puzzle together. Cause it's like you have a 50-piece puzzle on this deer and okay, I have that one piece down, but now let's start branching out. Let's putting more of it together. So I think that's a fantastic tip.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll be honest, probably a little addicted to it, but I think that's a pretty good thing to be addicted to.
Yeah. There's a lot worse addictions out there.
Yeah. So now I've got this bobcat that, is cruising through, and I've got him narrowed down to I've got, camera to get him almost every day, so I know where he's coming from and going to. And I just got a photo of the bobcat, almost looking at a raccoon. The raccoon was here and the bobcat's just off, just staring at him. And I'm it was they caught each other at the right, this perfect moment. It was 5:30 this morning. The raccoon's coming underneath the camera, away from the camera, and the raccoon is 20 feet off and just to the right. And they literally it's the moment they lock eyes. Right.
That's super
and I'm
cool.
That is so cool. Just totally random. But it's because I've been trying to get this camera, to get these pictures of these bobcats, it's just one bobcat walking by, but it's I do the same thing with deer. So I've got this one buck that's already got split brows and is already out past the ears. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have bucks like that right now, but I only have one that I've found. And it's now I'm all right, I know where he's bedding because I got a camera down in the bedding area and I don't have to go in there because it's cellular. And I'm getting him bedded down, which is so cool, pictures to my phone. And then I got another camera that's where he's working up over the ridge to go into a clover plot, or not a clover plot. It's actually alfalfa, but it's a food source, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I got pictures of him bedded and I got pictures of him working up through the woods to go eat. Now it's now I got to get a camera over where he's eating because I know where he's going, and then I'll be able to get pictures of him in the alfalfa. So anyway, it's it extends the weekend or the week or however much time you get to hunt. It extends it through the entire year.
Yeah.
So
super cool. Okay. So I'd like to continue that story with your buck that you've got with the split brows and outside of the ears. So I'd like to hear your strategies. I'm assuming he's going to likely be a target buck this year, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So you found the bedding area this time of year. You found a transition in where he's eating now. So how is your trail camera strategy going to change, with the changing of the seasons, and be able to have a great plan together by the time it becomes hunting season and you can actually target him? What are you going to do? Can you walk us through your kind of season-long strategy on this buck?
Sure. So my long strategy is the very first day that's hunting season, I'm going to be out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty much every warm-blooded hunter is going to have that same thought. Right. I need to align get my vacation schedule ready, circle that red on the calendar. That's my day.
Absolutely. So I know where he's bedding. And because I hunt the same property every year, I'm very fortunate, right? That's a plus. But what I do is I kind of strategize on where he is now, and assuming that as long as I don't push him out of there, there's no reason for him to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hooked up to a solar panel. The camera will, it saves over itself on the SD card. I physically will never need to go to that camera ever again, right? Now that I've got it in that spot. By the way, yes, that is a new product that will be coming out shortly. The solar panel built-in lithium battery pack. But like, that's the cool part, right? Like, we're chasing these bucks and we're like, I don't want to go in there. Like, I got like 20% battery life. It's like, dang, we better build something so we never have to go in there again. Right?
Oh, I love this.
Yeah. So that's our strategy. It's like, we build it for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But so
and then
I've
just
got
the customers are going to benefit then.
Yeah. And this camera's been out there since last fall. Right. And it literally ran but I knew where they were going to bed. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I knew where these deer were going to be in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
So I set it up last fall as a test. Like, can this camera run all year round? It hardly took any pictures this winter because, like, the changing seasons, the deer patterns change, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So I knew where they were going to, I knew where they were going to be this summer. So I put it out in the fall. It was purely like, can this camera make it through winter? And can it start taking pictures in the spring when the deer move into this area, which is their, summer bedding? Well, guess what? It worked. And it's still 100%. It charges itself every single day, and it's got backup batteries in the camera. So if it ever came unplugged or anything like that, I would know, and it would keep running, and I would be able to go and service it.
Yeah.
And
you just be able to know if there's any issues through your app. So.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm getting these buck pictures. I know where he's going. Eventually the acorns are going to start to drop. And that's usually the time when, like, they move off minerals or anything like that. And then you're like, hey, where did these deer go? Well, they're all in the woods and they're all eating acorns and they're not moving very far. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I kind of already know where that is. So what I'll do, and I don't have the cameras up there yet, but I'll probably get one or two cameras in a couple spots where I know that they're going to be feeding on acorns in some sort of a pinch point. It might not get a ton of pictures, but it's going to get the pictures that I need as they're, either feeding or starting to check for does if it gets to that point. And then that's when those cameras will start to get real active.
Yeah. So that's a super interesting dynamic. So like, you have him patterned right now on his bedding area and his transition and feeding. And it's like, okay, I know every year acorns drop and that's going to change the food source. So like, keep your one camera on the alfalfa plot and then transition another one to acorns and watch that dynamic. Like, okay, he's showing up less frequently on this alfalfa one. Okay, look at the days, or I mean, obviously it's just going automatically to your phone, but like, okay, it's going off the alfalfa and to the acorns now. Now I need to shift my patterns. So that's super cool.
Yeah. So then, if you have one stand or if you hunt off the ground, like, you just have to strategize when is the right moment to go in there. And for me, I've screwed up a lot of hunts. I'll just be honest. Like,
if you're a bow hunter or a hardcore hunter, like, you're not alone in that one, buddy. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. But I think that's how we learn, and I mean, when I first started bow hunting, I was a gun hunter. I gun hunted since I was not even legal to hunt because I was going with my dad when I was like 3. But the whole point is it's our culture. Like, it's our upbringing. This is our passion. It's a family thing. Whatever it is for you, we're into it. Like, this is what we do. And like, for me, like, trail cameras, filming your hunt, all of it. Yes. Some people might think it's a distraction. For me, it just adds to the excitement. It adds to the ability to come home and share it with my wife or share it with my friend or, how Tactacam started. Share it with my grandpa.
Uh-huh.
Like that's what it is. And I get I get photos printed at Walmart, right? That just came out of left field, right? Or right field, whatever.
Yes,
But
it did.
I take them to my grandma. She's 98 years old. My grandpa's no longer with us. But my grandma loves them, and she shows them to her friends. She takes them to the hair salon, to get her hair done. I know she could run a tablet and look at them live, but she loves photos. She likes to put them on her wall. So I download HD photos right from my app, and I send them to Walmart 1 hour, and I get them printed. And every time I go to my grandma's house, I bring her photos. And we've got a bear, and she waved me down yesterday, actually. And I saw her, and I was like, oh, geez. And I pulled in, and she's like, you got any more bear pictures? And I said, I don't, Grandma, but I said, I'm going up there right now, to put a camera out where I think that bear is. No more than 30 minutes after I left, that bear was there. And I got bear pictures, So it's just like, I downloaded the HD photos and sent them to Walmart. And, tomorrow when I go see my grandma, guess what? She's going to get 8x10s of the bear from the Tactacam reveal.
That's so cool. Yeah. And it's something people don't really think about quite as much as far as like getting people into that stuff. Like trail cams are a great way to do it. You can go out there when you're setting it up, when you're putting out your mineral, just like showing people how it works and just getting in tune with nature. And, like your story about your grandma, it's so cool on ways to share the outdoors and using trail cameras and your point of view cameras as a way to do that.
Yep. So I don't know. Obviously, I think you can tell we're all extremely passionate. I think that's why we do so well at it. It's not pretend for us. It's just real.
Yep. You can just see that 100% in the work you do. And, we just greatly appreciate here at Scheels the opportunity to be a part of that. Like from, I didn't know we were a part of it from the kind of the inception and the testing phase. And that's super cool to hear that. But we're just, we're honored to be part of this journey with you.
Yeah. And same, like, obviously it takes you guys, to help move products and create awareness when, we still do family trips, like we'll go to Scheels, right? And it's like Leo and Heather and I will get in the truck and, either like I'm in La Crosse, Wisconsin. So I'll either go to, Rochester Scheels or I'll go to Eau Claire Scheels. Right. But I like to go to Eau Claire Scheels just because I like to see Jeff Miller. Right. So, but it's like you create that personal relationship with people, but you go there not only to see, what's new, like, what are the new products or like what's available, but it's to hear what you guys have to say, like your experience is, and you can stand, at a counter or by a counter, and I challenge everybody to do it. Go and stand at a Scheels and just sit there and listen to the customers talk about stories or things that have happened, and listen to what the people that are working there, their stories and their experiences, because that is what is really cool. And that's why people, I think, go to your stores, right? It's because every one of you guys are just as into it as like us and or other manufacturers, but there's passion.
100% on that one. Like I work in the marketing department and I don't get to spend nearly as much time in the physical Scheels stores as I'd like to. But, every time I'm there, like you said, just listening and hearing there's so much passion happening in those shops, and we're here to just, help people succeed. You know, we're a retail store, but the main goal is to help everyone be successful and to experience those adventures and passions. And it's just super cool.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Ben. Well, thank you so much for your time with us today. And it's been a really fantastic story hearing how Tactacam came to be and kind of a little tease into what we're going to see in the future. So very, very cool.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I really appreciate it.
All right. And, best of luck with that buck with the splits. I'm looking forward to following along and see if you end up tagging him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep you posted. And if luck comes my way, there will be a photo hanging on the archery wall at the Shields in Eau Claire. So.
Oh, perfect. Yep. If he does get tagged too, I think there's going to have to be a post on Shields Outdoors about it too. So I know good. A guy. I think I can make that happen for you.
Awesome.
So again, perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes. Thank you again.
You just heard our segment with Ben Stern of Tactacam. This was a really fun session to film because it's so easy to see the passion and pride that Ben has for the outdoors and Tactacam, and they have worked so hard to develop some truly innovative products. When you have a guy that goes out and basically sets the standard for cellular cams and then goes and heads to Walmart to print out trail camera pictures of a bear for his grandma, you know that's the kind of company you can get behind. Hopefully you enjoyed this segment. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the comments below or send us a message on Shields Outdoors social media channels. And with that, we want to thank you for listening and see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Shields Outdoors Podcast. Stay tuned for future segments and visit our social media pages, Shields Outdoors on Facebook and Instagram for daily updates.